Hi, it's Kevin Lebates here. So I said I was going to try and find an analogy to explain gas in Ethereum, and this is the best that I've managed to come up with. What you have to do is imagine that a given block is a car, and gas is, well, like petrol, fuel. Money is represented by ether, and smart contracts are represented by a road trip planned out on a map. Now, when you plan out a road trip, you're going to have a route, and parts of the route may go through a busy city, so that's going to burn more fuel, and parts may involve driving down a freeway, so that's going to burn less fuel. And finally, a car, of course, has a fuel capacity. The tank can only hold so much fuel. So when you submit your smart contract to the blockchain, it's like submitting a planned road trip, and then the miner is the driver of the car, and they have to select a number of road trips that they're going to take their car on. And in order for them to select your road trip, you need to include some ether, some money with your road trip, so that they can actually go out and buy fuel in order to put it in the car so it can drive to places. So it's a bit of an abstraction from the well, not an abstraction, it is an analogy with what's going on in Ethereum, but it does illustrate a few things. Firstly, the fuel tank representing the maximum amount of gas that a car can carry. A given block can only contain smart contracts that burn a certain amount of gas, just as a car can only contain a certain amount of fuel, and therefore can only travel a certain distance or complete a certain number of road trips. So that's the first thing that I think will clarify what's going on in the Ethereum blockchain. The second thing is that gas and ether on Ethereum are loosely coupled, in that just as in the real world, you have a gas price. When you come past the petrol station, you'll see a sign outside saying how much they are selling petrol for. When you submit your road trip and the money for the petrol, you're going to have to make an estimate as to how much it's going to cost in terms of fuel for your road trip to be completed. And if you don't give enough money, then the driver won't be able to buy enough petrol and the car won't be able to complete the journey. Furthermore, it also shows that there's a limit on how many road trips the driver can accept. If 1,000 road trips are submitted, well, there's a limit for a given car with a given fuel capacity to be able to complete a certain number. So if your road trip is too long, or if you don't give enough money to pay for the petrol, then it's possible that the driver just won't accept it, and you'll have to either modify your proposed road trip, or you'll have to submit it again later when the driver's not so busy. So hopefully that kind of explains the relationship between ether, gas and smart contracts. I'll just sum it up one more time. Ether's like money, gas is like petrol. There's a thing called gas price, which is like the cost of buying fuel. Smart contracts are like a roadmap where the different segments of the road trip are marked out on the roadmap, have costs associated with them, and so you can work out how much a road trip is going to cost you in order to for it to be completed. And this also points out that there is the other side of things, which is if you pay too much money, then the miner or driver of the car is going to have to give you the excess cash back. So I think that kind of illustrates how it all hangs together. If that worked or if it didn't, please let me know in the comments below, and if there are people who are still interested or still a bit confused, I'll have another shot at this later. Bye for now.